Hi everyone, I'm Scott Schneider. This is Stereo Niche. This week I just want to talk about speakers from the 1950s. Hi everyone, well this week might be a bit of a ramble. Don't have a review specifically to do because I'm still going through that with the Jensen Imperials. That's my plan next to review. And I've been having a great fun with them. I got them stood up several days ago and have been enjoying the pinnacle of, or the, I'd say top of the line Imperial model from Jensen from the mid 50s. And it's so much fun. I have some other speakers of the era that I've listened to on occasion. And so to me, they're just such a laid back, soothing, Rat Pack kind of speaker. And I'm always excited anytime I get a top of the line anything. It's just a lot of excitement. And there's so many things when you're a collector. It's nothing more satisfying than having something that's top of the line, rare, like these, and you finally get something like this added to your collection. No matter how many things you get, having a top of the line rare item is always exciting. And so a little bit of the history and the backstory. I had alluded to this in the sort of the prep video, but I had been going back and forth with the previous owner on these for over a year, and he was ready to sell. He wasn't ready to sell. He was ready to sell. It was back and forth, and finally we came to terms and made a deal. And then it was just a matter of when could I get over there to get them. So I coordinated some things with the pickup, and then was able to go get them. But so these started life, as I was told, they originally were in the university, and they were in the university auditorium. Some years after, so this would have been the 50s, of course, and then at some point in the late 60s, they decided to remodel the auditorium. The person I bought them from, his grandfather actually worked at that university, purchased the speakers, and then had them in their family ever since. They were just too large for him to continue owning, and so we connected, and I bought the speakers. Now I've gone through them a little bit. I still have some work I want to do to them on the internals. I can see some differences between the two, so it makes me think that. So for a reminder for everyone, in the 1958 is when stereo was sort of standardized and popularized. And although media was coming out when radio first really changed over in 1958, the consumer started at that point buying speaker pairs for stereo. But if you had already had a speaker, especially a high-end one like a top-of-the-line model, and you bought it during the mono era, you later would buy another one and match to have a pair. So I think that's what's happened here, is that they started life as a mono. It started like one of these was a mono speaker, and then later on the university bought another one to match it. But just because there were several years of difference in the manufacturing era timeframes, there are some slight differences. You can't see that from the front, but on the internals I can see that. So they're still a pair, and they do have this, which I think is a fairly rare finish. This is called Satin Blonde Korina, I believe. And it's the kind of finish that you would see on, or at least reminds me of, acoustic guitars. It's a beautiful finish. You have to look very close. There is some wear on them, but the wear for current designs, it looks like this sort of faux antique that you see now that's kind of popular. Only this is not faux, it's real, and it's real wear, but it looks like it's been distressed on purpose almost. So to me, it's a gorgeous finish, and quite a unique look. Period correct, but unique even for the period, because I don't think this blonde type of finish was very popular at all. Most were dark mahoganies and things like that. I think were much more popular. So I'm more excited that it's this particular finish that I happen to run across and find. So this is so the Imperial, Jensen Imperial PT 100, I think is the model number. So these were a three-way design. There's a woofer here, and then the tweeter mid-range is up in this section. Now, as you can see, this is an enormous speaker, and this is what the standard technology was of the day. If you wanted to put out and have a lot of musical information coming out of there, out of the speaker, you needed a large volume. That was just the way it worked. That was the standardized, engineering understanding of the day. And so all the top of the line speakers from every manufacturer were quite large. There was this model, there was the Klipschorn, which we've talked about before. There is the JBL Hartsfield, which we're going to talk about soon. There was the Electro Voice Patrician. Those were all the top of the line speakers of the 1950s, and they were all massive. It just was the design, the horn-loaded speakers were just large, and that was how you got bass. And so that was quite common if you were of someone of means and you wanted a high-end speaker. This is what it looked like. This was the size that you were going to get put into your home. So while I've been having great fun with these, I've been doing some research. Every time I sort of do a review, by the way, I know some things about the speakers, but I don't know a lot, all of the detailed history. So before I do a video, I try to go and learn as much as I can about, details that I didn't know before. I'm still working on these. There's not, I'll say, a tremendous amount of information out there. So if you happen to be someone that knows a lot about the Imperials, I'd love, to hear from you. If you have information to share, that would be fantastic. It'll be another week or so before I do the actual review. So if you have details, please reach out. My email address is on the video description. So and at the end of the video as well. So please feel free to reach out. So while I'm doing that, I make mistakes because I'm only good as the information I can find. And the reason I mentioned that is because I made some mistakes last week on the tannoy video. There were some points that I made about the time frames of some drivers, which I got from an unreliable source on the internet. But the information is hard to find sometimes. And so some people reached out, gave me some better resources. So next time I talk about tannoy, I'll make some corrections there. So the reason I wanted to, I'm rambling a bit on different subjects on this video, but while I've been having fun with these, because I've acquired some other speakers from the 50s, I've been doing sort of some research around the 1950s. And so as you do that, you run across some other milestones and some technology shifts. And you can't talk about the 50s without talking about the advent, great choice of word, of the acoustic suspension speaker. And I wanted to talk about it here because in a lot of videos, when I talk about KLHs or advents, happen to be Wiltshire Kloss designs, I often refer to these as bookshelves. And I get the comment quite often of, that's a rather large bookshelf. Well, it was called a bookshelf then because speakers went from this massive size to this size. And while this is, by today's standards, quite large, look at the change. This is a 200-pound speaker, the size of a medium size or refrigerator. And this is a much smaller design. And yes, for consumer of the day, this could have been called a bookshelf. And it was called a large bookshelf, but still, this could be put on a shelf. Obviously, no way you're going to put that on a shelf. So I just found it interesting and wanted to do a comparison of what was considered a bookshelf in the 1950s. Now, I have a pretty good collection of AR speakers, so I do plan on doing a whole series on AR. This is just one example. This is the AR3, which came out in the latter part of the 50s, but just a good example I thought I would showcase here to show what did a bookshelf, why do they call it a bookshelf, and what prompted that description. Well, you know, if you see the difference physically now between the two, that's why this was called a bookshelf in those days. Some other things I wanted to bring up. I am working on a website sometime soon. The reason partially for that is because I have acquired a number of duplicates lately, and I need to pass those on. And so my plan is to set up a website. This happens to be one of the 2 sets of AR3s that I have. So I plan on selling these and some other things, which I'll mention along the way. But just some heads up there that that's coming. The JBL Hartsfield speakers, as soon as I finish the Imperial, Jensen Imperial review, which I hope to do by the next video, I'll work on the JBL Hartsfield. So if you happen to know a lot of history and information about the Hartsfield and want to share that, feel free to reach out. Again, my email address is at the end of the video. I think that's pretty much it for this episode of everything I wanted to cover. If you guys don't want to miss anything coming up, hit subscribe. Be sure to hit that now and give us a thumbs up. We'll see you next time.